This is a video about how you missed the entire point of Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia, if you've ever said anything like this. I'm Nick from Lopez, and today we'll be analyzing and curing your brain rot, because I swear some of y'all have an aggressive cancer tumor in your brain. If we are to say that betrays the themes of his route because he is secretly a prince, and it flies in the face of the theme that everyone can be a hero, anyone can become any social class that they want. First, we need to talk about what actually is the point of Echoes, because it's not this shit. As we all know, Echoes starts with the gods, Mila and Duma, splitting up Valencia, Mila in the south and Duma in the north. They seek to govern their territory by their own ideals. In the beginning, the ideals made sense. Mila taught the humans compassion, and Duma taught the humans strength and independence. However, these crucial lessons were perverted over a millennia of degradation. And not the sexual kind of degradation. I was hearing myself say it, and I was like, wait, that's not how you say it. That's how you say the sexual one, but I think they're the same word, maybe. Anyways, I can talk about how exactly Duma and Mila's ideals perverted Valencia in more detail in their time, but to put it simply, Mila's blessings and her slothfulness allowed corruption to fester in Zofia, while Duma's lust for power allowed more atrocities to be committed. And in both Rigel and Zofia, there is a rigid social hierarchy maintained by nobility. The aristocrats of this age brought are beyond corrupt and care nothing about the commoner classes. I'll give a few examples. Fernand, well, his dad got killed in a peasant revolt, and that doesn't exactly happen to good landlords, does it? Additionally, Fernand, when met with Luma's incompetence and Desai's corruption, this is his reaction.
But Desai's swift rise at court troubles me. For all intents and purposes, he now rules the kingdom. Aye, he's a cunning one. He has been putting pressure on my father as well, much to his chagrin. No wonder your father is a good and kind man. He doubtless has no desire to put his own people through such hardship, but he would be wise not to incur Desai's displeasure. Not these days. I hope he knows how to play his cards. As do I. We all know what happened to Sir Myson, after all. Now that the king's scions are no more, what becomes of the royal bloodline? The Knights of Zofia need a true king to protect, not a laughingstock.
He does not give a fuck about the people. He just cares about his own ego and whether he looks cool being a knight. He can't look cool on Lima's shoulder. It's not gonna happen, and that's what he cares about. Additionally, in Clive and Fernand's breakup scene, Fernand is completely against being the leader of Deliverance, even though would be a better leader for a commoner army. He doesn't care about the people, just his entitlement and his position in the hierarchy. Fernand even commits treason just to fall behind the only guy on the continent who is a bigger bitch than he is. You have Berkut being an entitled little brat who wants the throne to mask his massive inferiority complex. Not once does he mention the responsibility it takes to be emperor.
Successor to the imperial throne. All this time, all the effort. What is it?
Seems a kind and generous man. I'm certain he'll treat you fair.
And I'm to be content with that? I wanted to beat him, Renea. To dispatch him and claim the throne. I wanted to make you my empress. And hold all Valencia in our palms together. But what of those dreams now? Even Rigel alone is now forever beyond my grasp. So I'm to live in this alm's shadow? Throw myself upon his mercy? I would sooner an honorable God. I call out to you now. Grant me the power to set this land to ruin, for good and all. Take of me what price you will.
In fact, he wants to kill everyone because wouldn't let him play on the Xbox. Which totally would, by the way. What a fucking joke. Slade and Desai are child murderers, and Slade pretty much a pedophilic rapist. If this ain't an implication, I don't know what is.
We'll get the scolding of our lives if we bring strangers to the village. Good Sir Knight, if I may. This is too generous. We do not wish to offend you, and you are clearly deserving of so much more. So please, we humbly implore your great mightiness to...
You, boy. Have you an older sister?
Me? I have two, actually. What about him?
That'll suffice. We'll take...
I bet you Slade is behind one of these black walls of text in the Epstein files. I put money on it. Let's get back to Clive. Clive doesn't get enough hate for how he's also an example of how the aristocracy are terrible leaders. First of all, it's slander time. I'm ready to go, nigga. Multiple of Clive's commanding officers get kidnapped and he doesn't even know about it. An actual bum. One of which is your girl. Like, bum alert, okay? Like, while Fernand wants to cap about how Alms need to be the leader, who was it gonna be, Clive? I wouldn't want Clive to leave me. I wouldn't want you to leave me because you'll commit treason when you get angry. We don't need people like that in the army. Additionally, in the breakup scene I show with Fernand, it cannot be understated that it directly says that Clive has the same ideals as Fernand.
Hear me, Fernand. Hear me well. I know you have your reasons for closing your heart to the common folk. But please, for the sake of our ideals, you must think beyond them.
For the sake of our ideals, see past them temporarily. He wants to restore the old order that does not work, where the nobility is more important than commoners, but we have to play nice to achieve that. Clive is not an idiot, but he's as classist as they come. This is reiterated when Alm derails the mission just to save one girl, and it's seen as a revolutionary moment.
The purpose of the deliverance is not to save one girl at a time, correct? Sometimes we must examine a situation more dispassionately.
Suppose it wasn't a village maiden. Suppose it was a princess or some noble daughter. Then would you go save her?
Well, that's hardly the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
Clive plainly states that the lives of nobility are more important than a commoner, and I could see his point if he said a king, hell, even a regional lord, but a noble girl's death will not matter more than a commoner's death. Let's be honest about how women didn't own property or have much political status. This is just his classism at full display. Clive even starts to doubt Alm once he learns that Alm could potentially not be from a hero's nuts, and then starts to doubt his decision because he sees ability and worth based on bloodlines. Alm being one of the commoners would still be enough to motivate everyone because they're just like them. I would want a leader who's just like me. I mean, they understand me. They're more relatable. Duh, it's a no-brainer. Clive just does not believe that a great person can come from a barn, and therein he doubts Alm's leadership skills. To add some more dots, the Zofia nobles have an intense relationship with corruption, i.e. the Say, Fernand, Slade, who rapes little girls or something and literally preys on the people he should be protecting. Mila's slothfulness is also reflected in Lima, and it damns the people of Zofia. Say what you want, but Rigel is never shown to have child rapists and sex traffickers like Zofia.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
While the Rigelian ones do not have such an intense relationship with corruption, it is more about lack of compassion and love that really fucked over their kingdom, i.e. Rudolph not showing compassion to Berkut, Jeddah offering up his own kids to Duma, Berkut doing the same to Renea. Lack of compassion mixed with lust for strength is what really wrecked that nation. And then you have Nui Baba drinking the adrenochrome of young virgins or something, like she's Dracula. Just going full Elizabeth Bathory on them. Just a lot of problems were born out of a lack of compassion and lust for power by and large. However, I don't want to put so much pressure on the nobility. It's not just the nobles who keep the system running that way. Alright? The thing about oppressive and restrictive systems is that they cage the mind of the average person as well as trap their imagination in their cold machine. My number one example of this is at the end of the game, where all hope is lost due to everyone learning the truth about Mila's death and Duma's madness.
It seems abundantly clear as things now stand.
The chances of Zofia's recovery are nearly extinguished. With Mila in her current state, there is little hope of change.
No. But Celica's gonna take care of Mila and Duma for us, right?
You're just gonna sit around on your butt and let Celica die for us?
What? No! I don't want that any more than you do. But what other choice do we have?
The Zofians have become so reliant on the gods that they cannot even imagine a world without them because the state of the world has ruined their self-confidence and their spirits. Even Celica's whole journey is a reflection of this. Instead of taking power in her own hands, which we've seen throughout the journey, that Celica is powerful. She can do anything she wants, okay? She's a strong woman. She is dependent on Mila because of her upbringing. She's killing pirates. She's toppling desert strongholds, okay? Celica is capable, but she sees that Mila is more capable than her, who has been proved to be an actual bum throughout the story. She's been mentally gone for a while, long since before the start of the game even. It's subtle, but Mila went crazy too, as you can see by her slothfulness that is described by the saying,
"Why should I fear a goddess too busy sleeping to leave her temple?"
Her lack of intervention with the state's corruption and Lima's incompetence, and just her reaction when Rudolph invades. When everyone around you is panicked, you just sit around like you're above it all, and you don't even seek to comfort them. It gives me mom that is drunk all the damn time. Leprica, give me more booze! Give me more booze, Leprica! This is the kind of goddess that Celica cannot see the world without, so she is willing to sacrifice her life for this goddess, who sold them all out to protect her womb-mates. Celica is tied up in the world and religion that skews her perspective, traps her imagination, and she cannot even realize that Mila is partially the reason the world is so shit. And they are actually better off without her. I mean, think about it. It's supposed to be Mila's abundance, yet we still have poverty. You can't tell me Tobin only got poor, that Tobin only got poor because of the whole situation with the game. That boy's been poor. He got the poor grinder mindset, okay? Tobin's been poor for a minute. And that's the whole antithesis of everything. They're supposed to be handed shit, but however, the nobles are taking advantage of everyone. They're taxing everyone to death. That's why you got peasant revolts and shit like that. And Mila's letting it happen. Think about that. There's poverty, and they're supposed to have infinite crops. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But it does, because the nobles are so corrupt. They're corrupt. And also, you wouldn't have peasant revolts if everyone has infinite shit, okay? Like, Mila's not doing her job. She's been gone for a minute. Mila's been gone for a minute, okay? This is the goddess that Celica is going to risk her life for. And she's not doing nothing for anybody. The only person she did some shit for was for Duma. And Duma's gone too. I'm getting off track, y'all. I'm getting off track. This was a good essay and I'm getting off track. But really, think about it. Celica is so capable, but her mind is caged by the system, okay? Because Lima was weak and incompetent, bad people were able to take advantage of the Zofians financially, and that's not something you see in Rigel at all. There's classism, but the elites don't prey on the citizens as much. The only examples are Nui Baba and Jerome. But Jerome was only confident to do this shit when Rudolph was away, and other generals like Zeke held him accountable. You know Rigel is not as corrupt because everyone reveals Rudolph because he's a strong king. The Say and Slade only pulled this shit because they had nobody to fear. Very different from Zofia, where Clive and Fernand effectively co-signed the Say's tyranny. So all you have for corruption is really Nui Baba and Jerome. And I feel like it's almost a stretch to say that every witch is a bureaucrat. They are militarized, I guess, but Nui Baba's doing her own thing, really. She's in the castle, but I don't know. She just kind of tries to lure for her own purposes. She's not really with all the shit that Rigel is doing. She doesn't really care about any of that stuff. She just wants to stay young. So really, Nui Baba's gone rogue and isn't super a reflection of the government in Rigel, taking advantage of its citizens. You really only have Jerome for that. And again, people are holding him accountable and he's scared to do it in front of Rudolph. so it's not as bad as people in Zofia literally going to random villages to rape young women. Very wild shit that happens in the first 10 minutes of Echoes, I tell ya. Regardless, I think I made my point about Zofia having particularly bad corruption due specifically to Mila and her choices. Mila's whole worldview basically requiring dependence on Mila has really caged the mind of the Zofians for what could be possible. Duma valuing independence. From him, you don't see this same dependence on Duma by the Rigelians at large. Just his cult. In fact, Berkut finds the magic distasteful even. He still uses it because he's a bum who likes mouse tools, but that's a video for a different day. These are the kinds of people that Mila and Duma created when they fractured Valencia with their ideals. It wasn't all bad though, yeah? I really do think that Mila's ways did make the people of Zofia generally more compassionate due to being taught love by their deity. And Duma ain't all bad either. It's important to be strong so you don't get pushed around, which is why Rigel ain't the one getting conquered in the game. But it's not good to be between these two extremes. You need both strength and compassion, but when you're born in this system, this messed up continent, you're gonna need somebody who bends the rules, who isn't caught up in all that to completely destroy the barriers that are holding Valencia back. And you guessed it, that's my boy Alm. Alm is almost neither Rigelian or Zofian, as he was raised Zofian by a Rigelian grandfather. Mycen taught him strength and independence. We see that from how much he wanted to leave the village and make his own mark. He also brought up that spirit in some of his friends like Gray and Clive, who would have never left the village if not for Sir Mycen's teachings and Alm's courage. Clive starts the game as a crybaby who ends up traveling the world. Alm has the strength and independence of what Duma taught, but also the love and compassion of a Zofian. He was taught up by the villagers, his friends like Faye and Celica, how to be compassionate and how to love like the Earth Mother's ideals. Alm is straddled between two worlds at once, and that is what makes him fit to rule, since he's not constrained by the standards of the gods that say you're either kind or you're strong. You can be both, and Alm proves that. Alm's mind isn't caged by dependence on Mila, even though he grew up in Zofia, because Mycen taught him independence. That's the Rigelian side in him. Alm's story isn't about a farm boy raising up to be king in social mobility. Not in that sense. That's literally what happens, but that's not the point. So stop saying it. It's that the one who will save us will come from a place we won't expect, from outside the system and the paradigm the world runs under. Clive, despite how nice he seems, is still a noble through and through, till Alm teaches him how to be a great and compassionate ruler. Clive is not gonna be your revolutionary because he's the one who benefits from the system the most. He's not gonna see anything from a little person's perspective. That's why hierarchies are bad. But Alm, regardless of whose nut he came from, will still understand the people of Zofia because he lived beside them and he is one of them. You're being obtuse and nitpicky if you don't understand this. So next time you see somebody dissing our boy Albine, say that the point is that he had Zofia's love and Rigel's independence. You need both in your character lest you want a shithole society, like both the nations in the game. And this moment has bothered me for a while, and I'm gonna keep it a buck, guys. This was like very hard to come up with, and this moment in particular where Rudolph dies by Alm confused me for a while. I didn't understand why Rudolph had to die instead of being reformed. I always thought it was cruel to force Alm to kill his own father, and I don't understand how Rudolph's own death elevates the plot at all. They didn't need to be faithful to Gaiden here as they were in other areas. I believe that Rudolph dies here to symbolize that people like him will die out, and Alm symbolizes a new age for Valencia. One of the people like Alm at the helm instead of old people like Rudolph who were tough as balls but not the right person to change the world due to that lack of balance and imagination. They are the older generation who helped maintain this awful world. You can't say this is a story about social mobility and Alm betrays it, cause Who else could have been king in this story except my boy Alm? Clearly, Alm is a good leader because he won't get pushed around the Rigelian side, and he is compassionate, the Zofian side. There's literally no other character, not even the Ram villagers, because they were willing to get pushed around by the gods at the end of the game. The only reason there is a Valencia worth inheriting is because he will rebel against the terrible system handed down to them.
I'm not giving up on her. Every part of me, every fiber of my being says this is wrong. So we're going to take down Duma and bring Celica home safe.
A system that runs on resistance to change and evolution. The gods would rather everyone die than seek positive change and evolution. Lucas is my GOAT. He's even crushed because he cannot see a future without Mila's blessings. The dependence on Mila has made the Zofians soft, and they aren't gonna even think to do what needs to be done. No more gods. That's the only way forward to a world that everyone would even want to live in, not the same corrupt and evil bullshit. Only someone like Alm who would be able to recognize that and take the appropriate action with his strength. Clive and Fernand were in a similar position, but instead they allowed corruption to fester in Zofia. You can't even say, well, they were just like lower knights. No, they're some of the highest knights, and they let Desai do whatever the fuck he wanted. That's insane. Like, you can just tell Desai, hey dude, we're gonna fucking kill you if you keep this bullshit up, mate. And they didn't do that. They just let the bullshit happen and then complain about how Lima's not cool enough and all that bullshit, okay? I love Celica to death, but her reliance on Mila made her soft, and she didn't even realize her own power, since she was depending on Mila to solve everything. But really, Mila was already a shell of herself to begin with. Sometimes things need to change and evolve, and it's not going to be the benefactors of the system who do it for us, and it's also not going to be the people who have their spirits broken and their minds shackled. It's gonna be people like Alm, who walk beside the people and who exist against the odds. It's not gonna be your average guy who can save the world from peril. Alm is a prince who was raised as a farm boy in Zofia by a Rigelian general. Alm is extraordinary, and his existence destroys the entire concept of the bullshit borders and the bullshit classes that is holding Valencia hostage. It's Mila's slothfulness and babying of Lima that has the Zofian court wrought with corruption. Mila needed a little bit more strength to be stern with the humans. Duma's focusing on power has evil snow snatchers who offer up their kids and desecrate the dead running around. He needed a little bit more compassion and sanctity of the dead, because holy shit. The war crimes that happen in this game. Alm doesn't feed into any of that shit, because he's both Zofian and Rigelian. He's both commoner and noble, and he's the only one who can save the world because of that unique outlook he has on the world. And it's not because he's a chosen one or because he's son. You're no better than Clive if you think that. You have Celica, for example, who was a chosen one and also a royal who had a commoner upbringing, but because she did not have that independence, she could not be the one who freed Valencia. She was gonna kill herself to keep the system going rather than fighting against the system. I love Celica, but the reason why Celica took the fuck up is not because of her, it's because of her upbringing. It's because of her upbringing. She couldn't even realize her own strength because of the dependence on Mila. But he doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have any of that. He's special. He's like one of the only ones who could have done this. Now, I always like to relate these kind of videos to broader themes, and I think Echoes has that too. A world that is twisted by two dragon gods is not really realistic, and it doesn't relate to us in the normal world. It's nice that Alm shows that she needs to be strong and kind to be a good ruler, but isn't that a little bit obvious? So what can we take from Echoes? I'll tell you what we can take from Echoes, right? In Echoes, the system constrains your mind and leads to abundant corruption. It traps you in its cycle of hopelessness. Does a world like that sound familiar? Echoes, the world of Echoes is an exaggeration, but reality is the template. There are no crazy dragons, but there is a well-oiled machine that robs us of our personal power and shoves us into a box until it breaks us. We find comfort in that box after a while because it's all we ever have known. But there's a whole world of possibility out there. What kind of prescriptions did Echoes give us that live in a similar system of getting shit on by the elites until we just accept it while the world is ending around us? Be like have your very existence destroy the foundation of this world just like Alm's did. Fuck binaries, fuck what they tell you to do. Alm's world told him that he can either be a farm boy or a noble. He's both. Alm's world told him he can either be kind or strong. This was just a statement decreed by the gods and the laws of this world. And he said, out with the old order and in with the new. He did not tiptoe around the system to live a comfortable life. He fought the very foundations of the world that shackled Valencia and its people. So next time somebody tells you Alm's a dumb protagonist because he secretly is a prince and this is a story about how anyone can rise in rank, well, just tell him Alm was only the leader of the Deliverance because of his connection to Mycen. So you're wrong on that point as well. It's not about the little guy getting a fair shot to getting on a totem pole. We tearing down the fucking totem pole. We tearing this shit down. The story is not about rising up in social rank. That's unrealistic unless we destroy the system. There is no tiptoeing around it to be successful. Then we're no better than jerks like Clive or Fernand, who will see people suffering, but at least they're good, okay? At least they're good, but everyone else is fucked.
If it were just me, I would. But I have little brothers and sisters to think of.
If you manage to get some capital, use it to set your people free. Your priorities should not just be going up in the hierarchy. It's about tearing that shit down.
Man, I'm not living my life bowing to Duma and his little idiots. I'll take going hungry over that any day of the week.
The nobles will pick up hoes.
An emperor plowing the fields? I never thought I'd see the day.
Now that was the point of Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia.
Subscribe!
This analysis has made me love Alm even more. And it's inspired me. Don't want people to feel that they have to be something that they're not. If you enjoyed this video, give me a subscribe. Lots more Echoes content coming since I feel like after 6 years, I finally understand Echo's story, and it's the best written Fire Emblem game, hands down. FE4 can kiss my ass.